Hey everybody, it's Rachel, aka the Nail Therapist. Today I had the pleasure of seeing this lady who traveled 5.5 hours to see me to help her with her involuted nails and all the pain that she is suffering from. So you'll see me trim these bad boys down, and we'll talk a lot about what we're going to do in order to straighten these nails out and avoid further curling. So stay tuned. So like I said, today's video is going to focus solely on these big toenails and how I'm going to go about trimming them without causing her pain. This lovely lady's story begins about 5 years ago over COVID. She noticed that her toes were just starting to be a little uncomfortable and curl and cause her a little bit of pain. And at that time, she was had already planned to go down to Mexico for an immersion program. So while she was down there, she ended up seeing a podiatrist, and this podiatrist cut down the sides of her nails quite a bit. And then she ended up going for a hike and getting her feet all wet because it rained, and she ended up getting an infection. Anyway, all this stuff happened, and she's been battling through it ever since. So fast forward 5 years, she finds me, and she decided to travel up to see me, which is, such a blessing. It just astounds me even to this day that people travel that far to get help. It's just another reason why I keep trying to promote this type of work with nail techs, because we're very few and far between. And so the more people we have in the country to do this type of work, the easier it is for people like this client of mine to find somebody to help her. Okay, so back to the nails. So basically, all I'm trying to do with her toenails before I put her in the foot bath is to gently take small snips out of her nail to trim it back and try and trim away where it's lifted off of the nail bed. When you have a nail that is as curled as this and as hard and thick as it is to snip through, it's really important to take small snips out of the nail rather than big chunks, because that way it doesn't bend and torque on the nail, causing pressure into the areas where it's pressing into the skin already. Okay, and so on this side of the nail, it's a little thicker and harder to cut through. So I'm just filing it down, thinning it out, so that when I go back and try and snip a little bit more off, it doesn't hurt her at all. It's also important to note that she already is inflamed. She's in pain. Her skin is inflamed. It's a little puffy. It's a little red. So I'm doing the best I can to not apply any pressure to the sides of the nail or on top of the nail, because I know that is going to increase her discomfort level. At this point, I'm saying to myself, okay, I think that's enough where I can get her foot into the foot bath and loosen more of this up through softening in the water. This side is her most painful side, as you can probably guess. And you can see the white section where the free edge is lifted off of the nail bed. And this is probably happening because the nail is so pinched. The nail bed just can't be pulled up with the nail anymore, so it's detaching because of that stretch of the nail off of the nail bed. So my goal here is, again, to trim back as much of this lifted portion as I can. And then later on, we'll talk about curve correction devices and what we're going to do in order to flatten the nail out and bring that curl out to a normal flattened position. This type of nail disfigurement could be called also a pincer nail or sometimes a trumpet nail because it is curled so much it almost looks like the opening of a trumpet. There's one way we can figure out how long her nail has been disfigured approximately, and is because there is still a remnant of a depression where her lateral border of her nail was growing earlier, right where I'm filing right now. You can kind of see and make out that linear depression where the lateral nail border would have been growing. So because the skin hasn't plumped up and filled that space in, we know it hasn't been that long since the nail was a normal shaped nail. I'm gauging about, I don't know, months really. So it's gotten worse recently. It's not been this bad the whole 5 years that she started having the pain. So again, I'm thinning her nail out because it is going to take the pressure off of the nail as I nip through and try and cut down the length. You might be wondering if this nail is actually an ingrown nail, and the answer is no. It has not pierced the skin yet. It's just slowly pressing into the skin as it curls around. However, It is very close to becoming an ingrown nail because you will see after I trim away as much as I do that there are pinkish red spots where the nail was pressing into the skin. So it's very close to have had the skin being pierced. At this point, the nails have been soaking for a few minutes, so they're nice and soft. The skin is a lot softer, and I'm able to clear and clean around the nails a little bit easier. I think the hardest part in trimming nails like this is figuring out which angle to put the nippers so that you're not pressing into the inflamed skin, but you can still get into the area you need to without, um, you know, being overly aggressive. once I get that spike out of there, I have to be very, very gentle in cleaning the area because the skin it's pressed up against for so long is so tender. And I couldn't find, I had to bring up my big guns for my nippers, trying to figure out if I can get these guys in there a little deeper. But they weren't skinny enough. They're longer, but they just weren't skinny enough to get in there. I needed like almost like needle nose nippers. So maybe I'll go and find a pair of those. I decided I was going to give the big guys a try one more time, and boop, got it. With the nail curling under like that, the skin where it was attached is beginning to thicken and try and fill in that gap where it used to be. So that's the danger of this type of thing happening and waiting too long to get it fixed. Once you have that skin thickening start to happen, it can be a problem with the nail reattaching into the regular border that it was in before. Is anybody else tensing up their shoulders right now watching this? I'm rewatching it as I'm doing this voiceover, and I'm like finding that I'm holding my breath as if I don't know what's going to happen. Comment below if you're tensing up while you're watching this. It's not exactly as relaxing as my other videos. So here I'm just using the diamond bit to smooth the free edge because the regular nail file is going to be too aggressive and have too much friction on the nail. So I wanted to just use the E-bit to file the free edge a little bit, and then I'm going to go in with this soft flame bit that I love to try and file away the little remnant of nail that's curled in there still that I couldn't quite get with the nipper. You might be looking at this being like, Rachel, you're making her bleed, but I wasn't. The skin was still intact, but like I said before, the nail was pressed so hard up against the skin that after I removed it, you could see that it was that close to piercing the skin. It is literally like one layer of skin left. So she was very lucky. Okay, so we're going to skip the rest of the pedicure. This is the end result. You can see I applied the Curve Correct band on top of her nail as far back as I could to try and straighten and lift the curl of that nail to flatten it over the next month or so. We had to go with one of the lower tensions of the band for this right toe, and then the lowest tension of the band that we offer on her left toe. And this is because we don't want to pull the nail up so hard that it causes pain and discomfort, but we want to give a little bit of tension, and then over time as it uncurls, we'll be able to apply a higher tension so that it can lay flat without causing any real discomfort. So I hope you guys love this video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments section. And I'd love for you to share and like the video and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.